Hello, everyone. This is Gray Paladin and my good pal.
Darth Paladin, apparently. I'm the other half. I'm actually a Paradigm, not a Paladin. Nor are you a Darth. Although sometimes I wonder.
I have my moments.
Yeah, I know.
That's what happens when you're on the gray side.
If you're a little tired and not feeling that great, I've seen your Darth. Seen your Darth side.
I really enjoyed your video for the Sinister Prophecy when you were watching your agent try to acquire said saber. No, what? Yes, that's it. No, you fool!
I really thought that guy was gonna pull it off. I mean, he was. I don't know if I revealed this, but he's a clone of you. You left when you shipped me the count. You included some DNA. Believe it or not,
some DNA.
Yeah, I'll leave it a mystery.
And bam, a dinosaur.
Because no one's gonna believe it was a hair follicle.
I don't know what hair follicle you found because I don't have any left up here.
Anyway, yeah. Oh well, it still worked out. I just had to give you money.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to get a pommel for that thing. I want to get the Venom pommel. Pommel is the pommel that the Sinister Prophecy used to use. They kind of like rearrange some of the parts.
It kind of like ripples out a little bit and comes out just a little bit beyond the shroud or within the shroud.
And I have a Venom, and it's a warrior tier, and it has that pommel, but it's a standard finish. And I love that Venom because it was like the first mystery box we ever got from Saber Forge. But I really like that mystery box that subscriber showed you. That was really cool. Little mix of parts there.
Well, it looks like we have a couple of viewers here. So I guess before we do anything, we should raise our glasses and say cheers to our discussion. May the Force be with us.
Kampai.
Okay, so this is one of the first free weekends that I've had in a while, and I have some exciting news about a shipment notification that I just got 2 days ago.
Oh!
And I thought, yes. So I just thought it'd be a good idea for us. It was just on a whim that I said, hey, let's get together and do a live stream, and Darth Paradigm fortunately said, yeah, let's do it. So we decided that, and this has been a discussion that we've been wanting to have for quite a while, and that is LGT Saber Studios, their products, what they offer, some of the resellers, and just how they have vastly impacted the Saber community now, and highs and lows, and I think people's general attitudes towards LGT. Scott, I know between the two of us, we each all have experienced pretty much almost every level of LGT products, from the top tier hilts to the beginning hilts to the basic core, the Eagle Smooth Swing core. I think version 1 and 2. Now we have the version 3, which we both like. More on that later. We both have Xenopixels and Profies. I have a Golden Harvest. I don't think you have a Golden Harvest core yet, but you have several Golden Harvest boards.
Not for that amount of money, no.
Yeah. So, LGT, and I think anyone who's kind of viewing in our lobby right now all have some type of saber from LGT. And I also saw Dark Wolf Sabers there, who is an LGT reseller, and he gets he's helping create and design a lot of these sabers and electronics. And whatever is released first, you're going to see it from Dark Wolf before you see it anywhere else, which is pretty cool. So, Scott, let's just first begin with, do you like LGT or do you dislike? What are your thoughts on LGT?
The interesting thing about LGT is it's kind of been a journey. And when it first started out, my first experience with them was through Crimson Dawn, and some of the hilts that I picked up from Crimson Dawn were very basic, and the soundboards weren't very good. We all know that they weren't very reliable. They didn't sound good, and so it was kind of like in the beginning, it was very much a beginner's effort, but through the years, these last several years, you could just see that they were really, really working very hard to develop their products, expand, and I can only imagine that they probably quadrupled the size of their output. I mean, and their facility, they must have. I mean, they've been growing like gangbusters. And they've gotten to a point where, like, the RGBX version 3 is a phenomenal soundboard, and they're only going to improve upon that. This. They are eventually going to add the accent swings and whatnot. So, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the Xenopixel, mainly because of the lack of accent swings. If I load a sound font onto there, I really want the full sound font, but there's just something lacking. So that's a room for growth. But the hilts, if anybody watched my review of the Nihilist, I'm really happy with that hilt.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Luke hilt. It's great. I really think that they're doing justice to the Canon hilts. I mean, some of them are a bit on the expensive side, but when you have something like Ezra's hilt, which I'd still like to pick up one of these days, it's expensive, but then there's a lot of components to that, so it kind of makes sense. It's a complex design, and I think for people that just can't really afford the $600 to $900 range, it really gives them a decent option, in my opinion. So I do like them.
Mm-hmm.
I am a little bit tired of that being kind of the most prevalent option.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's their own doing. They've taken over, and power to them. They're doing something right, especially during a pandemic.
Yeah. So as far as LGT goes for me, when they first started becoming popular, I looked at LGT as kind of being solely budget. And if you wanted a simple, easy saber that light turned on and you got some basic sound, that was the way to go. And I felt that the prices were very, very affordable. I had a big issue with them as far as it seemed like there wasn't much quality control. And I think someone made a comment over here, Commander Dale. Yeah, he said, for me, my biggest gripe would be the lack of quality control. 2 times I unboxed an LGT dud. I too have had similar experiences where I've unboxed a saber and literally before I've even had a chance to do anything with it, the board had already crapped out and stopped working. And one thing I feel like you kind of miss with LGT that you're going to get with a place like a Vader's Vault or a Saber Trio is they're going to have quality control. When they finish installing the saber, they're not going to box it up and ship it and sell it right away because they want that time to see if there's going to be any defects or faults or shorts or anything that's going to be wrong with the core of the board. And it just feels like it's very, I don't know how they construct to do these things, but it feels like it's assembly line and it just goes down and it's done on a mass scale. Now, like you said, during the pandemic, the luxury of LGT was a lot of these other shops were shutting down and closing their doors, and LGT was still going strong, and these resellers were popping up left and right and just everywhere. So I kind of felt like LGT was kind of filling that void or that absence. You wanted to get a saber fix, you could do that with LGT while you're waiting for places like Genesis Custom Sabers and Saber Trio and all those other places to kind of open the doors again. Over time, I have felt that LGT has really flooded the market, but I felt like it was not in the best way. I just felt like the hilts and the sabers just felt small and kind of cheap. But then the electronics and the quality of that has improved and gone up. And now with the release of this RGBX version 3, and Scott and I, we've been talking, offline quite a bit. It's a really good core. And honestly, if Dark Wolf, if you're still listening, we want to hear accent swings in those cores. If we can get that Eco Smooth Swing board to have accent swings, then I think you have hit a home run. You can get these cores for under $100 from some resellers, and it's really good. The gesture control, awesome. Being able to turn the clash off, awesome. The response of the smooth swing, much better than the previous version. All this stuff is really nice. Plus, you get all the colors and a good battery.
Good mix of sound fonts too, I think.
Yeah, and we got 12 sound fonts that are all
not
pretty
perfect,
good.
But it's definitely, it gives you variety. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
What I really like is the option to have, like, you have your set colors. You can just cycle through the set colors, or you can fine tune it if you decide.
Yes.
To, which is a really, really nice touch. The gesture control works amazingly too. I never thought I would rely so much on gesture control, but with that board, it's primo.
Mm-hmm. I've tried to toy with the motion activation with the CFX, and it took me a long time to find the right setting to be able to get that to respond the way I wanted to. But I'll say the gesture control in the RGBX version 3 surpasses what CFX can even do, in my opinion. And even some of the Golden Harvest stuff, like it's really responsive and really good, and I like it very, very much.
What I don't understand is the smooth swing on the RGBX sounds so much better than the smooth swing on First Harvest. To me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think if I were to mash up RGBX version 3 against SaberTech First Harvest, I'll take the RGBX version 3. I liked the First Harvest. I was excited about it. I'll put it that way. But I was very underwhelmed once I started using it. And honestly, if the First Harvest had accent swings, I'd be much more on board with that. But I think RGBX version 3 is whatever they're doing over there. They hit the nail on the head on that one. Now, I want to address this real quick because we're talking about it. Someone said they wanted to see the two. Oh, it's Paul. Can we do a head-to-head with a Saber with accent and one without? And yes, I can. So, this is my Vire Sabers VHC Saber. This has the RGBX version 3 core in it. So I'm going to fire this up. And then this is a Maz Premium Saber that has the LGT Profit Core in the inside.
Empress Palpatine.
So I'm going to let you hear the difference between the two. This one does not have accent swings. So we have our standard smooth swing, which we know. If I swing the saber faster or more aggressively, it's not going to change. So I can swing this as hard as I want, and I never get any more. I never get any more punch or swing from the sound. Now, this one has accent swings. Let me actually change to a different font because this one is not going to be as good.
I've become more powerful than any Jedi.
This one doesn't have accents either. 1 second. Post off.
Master Yoda. Count Dooku.
Actually, since Dark Wolf's in here, I'll use his Incendious font. Saber. So here's our smooth swing. As I swing faster, you get more sound. So, for instance, rather than just hearing you get an actual zoom, boom, ching, yo, versus wow, wow, wow the whole time. So, you want to, for a more immersive experience, when I swing the saber faster or harder, you should hear a change in velocity and aggressiveness in the swing. One without accents won't give you that. One with accents will give you that. So that's the difference between the two. And accent swings are definitely much better.
I mean, the whole process of the accent swing is you have a file for the hum, the high and the low, and when you reach a kind of a certain point, the hum will give way to just a regular accent swing file, which will kind of initiate at certain velocities or movements of the saber, which really kind of give it really gives the sound font its personality. It's like a layering of the sound, and it just makes it a lot more interesting to listen to rather than just the swings by themselves. And I think there must be some kind of element to the design of the board that you have to add like another chipset just to be able to process those through the accelerometer or something like that just kind of limits what the LGT boards can currently do, and they'll probably get to a point where they can get it all sorted out and figure out how to do it for the price point that they want to release things at, without making it too expensive. A life without accent swings is a sad life. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Scott and I, you and I have been in this activity for a while, but maybe not extremely long. But I know when we first got started, smooth swing wasn't really an industry standard yet. And so you had a saber, like say a Banana Biscotti before, where you didn't have smooth swing, you only had just a swing sound. So the small movements didn't really weren't really matched, so you only got it if you did an aggressive motion. So when we say accent swing, what's really happening is we're taking those regular swings from those old fonts and laying that on top of now smooth swing fonts where they take the hum and stretch it out. So it's a really pleasant experience to have the slow motion of constant swing, and then when you speed up, you hear a regular swing in there too. And Dark Wolf kind of helps clarify this too. He says, kind of what I was just saying, they are what we call accent swings. They are normal low and high swing files, and they have more bass to it. And Paul, don't apologize, because this is why we're all here, to kind of learn and talk about these things, because how else will you know unless you ask or hear from someone else?
Yeah.
Now, as far as LGT goes, when you're looking at all the different hilts, I'd say, in general, in the beginning, I thought the hilts were very simplistic. Like this shade, you look at something like this, and everyone's seen this. Every reseller has a version of this. They may call it something different, but they all have a version of this. A very simple hilt that almost just kind of looks like a tiny flashlight. And when you see these, you don't really get too excited about something like this. But the price is really nice. So if you're just kind of getting started, before a lot of us would go Ultra Sabers. Well, Ultra Sabers has been surpassed, by light years, by LGT. So I don't look at Ultra Sabers as kind of being the entry level saber anymore. I think LGT has cornered the market on that. But I feel like LGT has also stretched their wings and started creating much nicer hilts. So I feel like they have the full spectrum. You can have entry level, you've got mid tier, and you have higher tier stuff. Like I love the Malicos that's out there. I know that's not LGT, that's off Sabers, but it takes LGT electronics. And there's a lot of hilts out there that I think are really nice. And Scott, you've got some Aegis Sabers, which are great too.
I'm gonna go grab my my Silver Crusher because I want to show that.
Oh yes, is that an Oz Saber too?
No, that's LGT.
That Art Saber.
Art Saber.
Art Saber, okay. So I mean, this is a very entry level basic saber that you can get through, from LGT. But then you've got something like Vire, where you can start constructing and doing your own version of a lightsaber, which I think is really nice. And then, like I've got this from Dark Wolf, the Incendious, which is a really awesome hilt, and I put a Golden Harvest core in here, and awesome saber. Then you've got Saber Forge, their Eco Sabers. I feel like this is much nicer and a better looking, attractive design than this, but it also takes LGT electronics on the inside too.
So this is my Silver Crusher from that I bought from Art Sabers, and there's a lot going on in this design.
Mm-hmm.
It may look kind of like a overly complex mess, but this thing is so comfortable and light.
The top kind of reminds me of the Saber Forge
Venom.
Venom, yeah.
I have a Venom, and that's why I bought this, is because the claws, they're not identical, so they haven't stolen directly from Saber Forge, but and these, I've had no issues with these claws. They actually came, you have to attach one of them because the way they packaged it is they would have two on and then one off, and they're quite securely on here. Currently, I have the previous RGB soundboard, the one just before the RGB version 3. I guess you would call it a version 2. I'm not sure, but this one's going to be getting upgraded soon. Well, as soon as I have gotten some money from YouTube.
Right.
They're being a little stingy. Just a little bit.
So let's talk about resellers. There's a lot of them out there. I think some of the biggest and most well-known are Dark Wolf, Crimson Dawn, was it Outer Rim or Padawan Outpost?
Parts.
Something like that.
Padawan Outpost, yes.
But there's
Vire.
There's Vire. There's so many out there. The only ones that I have ordered from and worked directly with is Crimson, Dark Wolf, and Vire. And a lot of them, they all offer some of the same hilts. They just call it a different name. But what's kind of cool is each reseller kind of has their own like exclusive, which I think is pretty cool. But then you look at Dark Wolf, who gets kind of first release and has a huge selection of more intricate and really nice hilts. Plus, they're selling stuff from Off Sabers, which I think they have really, really nice hilt designs. Of those, who do you find? Who's your favorite reseller, Scott?
Well, I don't know. I've had. You see, I like exclusives. I'm not too much into. I guess into. Yeah, I like the exclusives, and currently, other than Aegis Sabers on Etsy, I've had a couple experiences with Art Sabers. I've had no issues with them whatsoever. They are actually like They communicated with me and they did some adjustments to my order. They actually, when I ordered my my Nihilist, it came with the older soundboard, and I asked them if I could get the newer soundboard, and they took care of that. They put in a RGB version 3, didn't increase the price or anything.
Nice. Cool.
So that's pretty cool. When I first started, I was getting a lot of help from Crimson Dawn, and I just find that Crimson Dawn has, I don't know, for some reason their range of sabers hasn't really grown that much, and they don't have too many exclusives that I like. I like going onto a page and just seeing what do you have specific to your company, and Art Sabers has some real wacky designs. All Aegis Sabers gets in is like unique designs that you can't get elsewhere. Mm-hmm. But if you follow Instagram, I follow LGT Jenny. She always throws on like the latest and greatest designs, you know, and she'll have like, you know, the pictures of one hilt and then like all of the new hilts, and sure shit, give it a week and those will, you know, start appearing at a Dark Wolf. So if you want to get them first, you can go there, you know.
Yeah. I personally, I really liked most of my LGT stuff I got from Crimson Dawn because they had really good sales and deals. I thought their prices were good. Free shipping, which was awesome. They usually throw in like a thumb screw or some type of little gift in there. If there's a delay or something like that, they try to really be good to their customers, which I really like. When I look at, I'm surprised I didn't check out Vire sooner, but they have a lot of parts and things. Like I got this CoverTech wheel adapter, which I thought was really cool. They sell these, but you can also get them on Etsy too. And these little things I feel like are really nice because you can kind of customize your saber just a little bit more. Places like Dark Wolf, you can get parts and things for DIY, which is pretty cool. I actually ordered like switches and things like that from Dark Wolf before. Actually, I think I got a couple of Profi boards from them too, and installed those as well. I feel like there's just something for everyone with all this LGT stuff. I'll be honest, I didn't like it at first how much they were flooding the market, and I felt like, man, all you see is a new reseller popping up, and all you see is the same hilt from a different company with a different name. And but I feel like now that the electronics are getting much better, I mean, they're using the USB Type-C ports for recharge and things like that. I'm much more supportive of LGT. Now, Scott, speaking of that, because you and I had a little bit of a talk about this earlier, and that is people who are more on the bougie side and don't really want to accept or embrace the LGT market flood. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, I mean, hey, if you've got the resources financially or otherwise, and you can go and you can get you can get an 89 Sabers hilt and then send it to one of the, you know, fabulous installers out there, and they'll go ahead and throw in a core and a crystal chamber, and they'll customize it with blinkies, and they'll deliver to you a $1,200 saber. I mean, not everyone can afford to do that, not in this economy anyway. And you know, for that person that just wants to get a saber that's fun, that they can duel with, not spend too much, but they're also a huge like Qui-Gon Jinn fan. I mean, you can go and for like $300, you can get a Qui-Gon Jinn saber. I mean, one of my when I first got into this, one of my unicorns was a quality Qui-Gon Jinn saber. I like Qui-Gon. I like Liam Neeson. He's one of my favorite Jedis, even though he only appeared in one movie so far. And that was quite an adventure trying to get my hands on a saber, an accurate one, a screen accurate one. And now there's no shortage of places where you can actually get an LGT Qui-Gon with a decent core setup to the level that you can afford, and And I personally think that's great. One of the things I actually wanted to talk about, if you don't mind me doing an aside, I think one of the things that gave Ultra Sabers life beyond what they should have been allowed to, really, experience at their position in the Saber community was the customization aspect of their hilts. A lot of them were sort of, blank canvases, and a lot of people like Blue Force Sabers and other companies could take one of those and really go to town with it and make a beautiful hilt out of something really, really simple, and you get custom install and you've got something decent. I find that LGT, a lot of people are really going nuts with the customization of the LGT. Even if you just look at, like, on Facebook, the people that go to Fire Sabers and they throw together a hilt and then they show you what they put together. It's like, there are some really creative people that are producing stuff that I don't have that kind of, I can't visualize this stuff. And they're putting together some amazing things. And then there's other companies like Potter Sabers and Blue Bowl and whatever. They weather them and they have customized parts, and they're just producing hilts that really, I feel, they surpass the actual, like, origins of what you're getting. I mean, they're really making them into special bougie hilts.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they don't quite get there, but like the MHS stuff, there's a lot of compatibility there, a lot of parts for those. And I feel like customization and uniqueness and designs are easily done with those. I feel like with the LGT stuff, because they kind of use their own system, they're not compatible with anything else. So you're never going to see someone like Starfall do like a scrap saber, like when you look at some of his sabers, you can tell where he kind of pulled his parts from, but you're never going to really see him pull something from an LGT part because they're not really compatible with anything else, the threading and things like that, which honestly for them, for LGT, that's probably a good thing because now they've got their own system they can keep in house. But for anyone else, you can't really cross over and say, hey, I'm going to take this Saber Forge pommel and this LGT body and this Saber Trio emitter. You're not going to see that just because the compatibility isn't really there. Now, let's talk about the difference between the electronics and the different cores, because I think that's where LGT stands out the most. Is because now you're also seeing other companies who are not affiliated with LGT, but are designing their hilts to be able to accept and take these LGT cores, and which I think is great because they say now if you've got a nice Profi core, or if you prefer Golden Harvest or Xenopixel, you can have just that one core and buy a bunch of empty hilts, do an easy 2-minute swap. Not even 2 minutes, probably 30 seconds, and now you've got, your great electronic setup in a different hilt. So we've already talked about the RGBX version 3, which is their economic version. It's the most affordable, and with the version 3, home run minus not having accent swings. The next step is the Xenopixel. Now, I know I had the first generation of that, and Scott, you have the second generation, and you've said to me many times that you like the Xenopixel very much.
Yeah, other than the fact that it lacks accent swings, which is really strange to me, but it's nice to be able to customize the sound fonts.
Yeah, and I think that's really nice too. That you and now you're seeing font makers doing Xenopixel formats now in their sound font packages, which is cool.
Yeah,
but Dark Wolf did mention here in the comments that accent swings are coming to Xenopixel.
Well, I assume that they were. I mean, I didn't at any point expect that they wouldn't. Just the thing that I feel like with the electronics is they understand what the community wants, and they go step by step and they figure out a way to give us what we want. And and not like rake us over the coals in the process, which I appreciate.
I know the Profit cores are probably the most popular and also the most expensive. Although the gold, it depends on where you go. Sometimes the Golden Harvest runs a bit more than the Profit, but typically the Profit core runs a bit more.
The Golden Harvest is a lot more expensive than Profit. They still run about 170, but you can get a Profit core for about like $110, $120, I think. Yeah.
But I'll say this: the first Profit that I had ever used, and I've been in it for a few years. The first Profit that I had ever used was the Profit core from LGT, and I thought this is probably a good introduction to Profit because I'm not a programmer, and I still feel like it's a bit out of my. It's a bit out of my knowledge. I don't want to spend the time to really dive in and learn how to do it right.
I tried.
So, yeah. And
it's
so
something you have to put the time and effort into. And I'm a CFX guy.
Yeah, me too. I'm CFX all the way. I like the board and I like what it does. I feel like you get a lot of options without having to worry about all the programming and what you don't understand. There is a clear manual that you can read. There's
no coding, I mean,
there's no coding involved. Yeah,
that's why you can
change
work
a number here or there.
Xenopixel and Asteria and CFX and a few other boards because there's no coding.
Yeah. And I like the Profit cores. I think they're great, and the options. I mean, you get a lot. Like I thought, one of the coolest things which CFX doesn't do is when you double tap the button and you get the Force Lightning, as if like Obi-Wan's blocking the lightning, that's hitting his blade. I thought that's a really cool effect that CFX doesn't do. So, and then the melt, when you have that and you turn it and the color changes when you have it on the wall. Profit can do a lot. And I think the Profit cores that LGT offers allows you to use and do those different features and blade profiles and stuff without really needing to do the whole coding and programming thing. Now, if you want to change it, that's on you to learn it. But I feel like they set you up with a good base and a lot of fonts, to enjoy without having to do those things.
I just wanted to address one of the commenters, Ryan Jan. He said that he's interested in getting a Saber Trio FX Vulcan, the Dark Edition, and he's wondering if we should just hold out and get a Crimson Dawn Neopixel. I'm like, I think that's a personal decision. I mean, I personally think that the Vulcan is a really beautiful hilt. The FX Saber, the Saber Trio FX uses the Pico Crumble 2.5, and I think that one is the one that they still have in their RTS sale. Is the dark side. It's a wonderful sound font. It's a very responsive board. Very, very neat. Meat and potatoes. It's just saber on, saber off, clashes, and color changing and whatnot. So if you're fine with that, if you get that, then you've got yourself a really, really decent, dueling saber, and it's gonna last you forever. Plus, you'll get to say, "Hey, I own a Saber Trio," and you'll probably find that the Vulcan's one of the most comfortable hilts that you've ever held. Well, if you've held a lot of them. But if you really want a Neopixel and you don't have much money to go with, you got like $300. I mean, you can go to Crimson Dawn and get a Profi Neopixel, and that'll rock your world too. So it really depends on what you want. I don't think you could go wrong either way, but I think that the Vulcan's a good buy. But that's just my opinion because I have one. Yeah. So there you go. What you doing, Gray?
Sorry, this beer is very effervescent and it made a slight mess, so I just had to walk away and clean it up. Sorry.
I still think you should have gotten one of those, Gray, but That's just my opinion. But you're getting your Redeemer, you're getting your Reaver back eventually. Did you send it?
No, it's been so crazy with it. Yeah, I need to do that. I will eventually. Oh gosh, let me get caught up on some of these comments here.
While you're doing that, do you mind if I do my unboxing?
Oh yes. So Darth Paradigm has an unboxing, and I'll let him elaborate more on that. But I'm going to put the spotlight on you.
Does anybody know of a YouTuber named Stony Magnum? Well, Stony lives in Iceland, and just recently, a few weeks ago, what was it, less than a month, we did a live stream, and I know for a fact, or I knew for a fact that he had a hilt from a company called JQ Sabers, which is one of my favorite sabersmiths out of the UK, and I had expressed an interest. What is this, like a weird Icelandic box? I had expressed interest in maybe acquiring that saber from him, and he was gracious enough to sell it to me for a pittance. And it finally arrived from its prison in the New York Customs Office. So now this is a hilt I actually have in the form of a trophy saber, but this one actually is equipped with the Pico Crumble dark side, I think. Let's put that there for now. It's probably not much else in there. And yeah, so here it is. Now I ordered a blade from Vader's Vault for this. I ordered two blades. One is a clear blade and one's a sanded blade. So I don't know exactly which one I'm going to use on here. Let's get a little O-ring here. I hate these things. I probably got to remove that. So let's see if this thing turns on. Not as loud as I was expecting, but very bassy. I don't know. I like the color of it. What does everyone think of the color?
Looks nice to me.
He didn't really care much for the weathering, but I don't have any issue with the weathering. The leather wrap is really nice. So it's full RGB color changing. Yeah, from the what's the word I'm looking for? This is from the arsenal of Stony Magnum in Iceland to the arsenal of Darth Paradigm in Western Massachusetts. Yes. Yeah, Stoney's a great guy. If you haven't checked out his content or his channel, I highly recommend it. You'll never see a guy that swings a saber better than he does. He's just phenomenal. Really nice guy, and started to become a pretty good friend. So check out his channel, please. That's it. So, and oh, now I'm on this side. Oh.
No, I switched it back. There you go. I just wanted you to be the spotlight, so everyone can see your.
Nice. It's got like one of these types of salt and pepper kind of vents.
Paul, I'm definitely cover tech over D-ring. I know Scott doesn't mind D-rings, but I prefer cover techs. I don't like hearing miscellaneous clanking and noise when I swing a saber, and I feel like D-rings are a compliment that I don't care for. And I'll tell you why I don't like all the noise is because it takes away from me focusing or listening to. It's a distraction to the sound of the saber. So I always prefer cover tech. But honestly, how often am I putting a saber on my belt to begin with? So it used to bother me not seeing a cover tech on a saber, but now I don't really care because I'm not using them anyway. So.
I mean, you're not going into public with a
correct
saber on your hanging from your belt. It's kind of silly. If anything, if this was my go-to hilts, there wouldn't be a cover tech. I'd just have some kind of like put it on, or like some kind of holster or something. It just seems like that'd be a lot more practical, But then again, what do I know? I don't remember the Jedi ever having like cover tech wheel. The cover tech company of the Jedi Republic, or the whatever you want to call it.
Old Zerga Corporation tech.
Yeah. How are they doing after Order 66? It's like, crap. We're going out of business. Crap.
I'm sure we'll get back to some more LGT talk and discussions, but just to change the pace a little bit, let's talk about the Genesis Custom Sabers Badaxx.
The what?
Scott and I both ordered a Badaxx. So 2 months ago, or a month and a half ago.
All I know is I think I ordered mine the day after you ordered yours. The day after he ordered his.
Mm-hmm.
When I ordered mine. But
yeah, the day that I saw that it was releasing in stock, I ordered one. But we've been seeing people already receive their Badaxx like a week ago, and I'm sitting here like thinking, "Where's ours? Where's ours?" Well, Rob finally emailed me, and I got my shipping notification 2 days ago. So my Badaxx is en route. Unfortunately, and sadly enough, Scott has not yet received his email, but I'm sure it's going to come in the next few days or day or so. Even though he's going to get his shipped after mine, he'll probably receive his before I do, just because it always takes me forever to get Sabers.
Let me see if there is any notification in my email. No. Bum, 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 bum. No. Rob is just making Mind Help super special.
So I have a bit of news or an announcement. I have been looking for this Badaxx for probably going on 2 years now, if not longer, because it's been out of stock for a very long time. And now that I finally ordered it, to me, it was my unicorn and almost like the pinnacle of Sabers. I like curved hilts. If anyone has been in the Facebook stuff, you notice that I'm starting to sell some of my collection. And now that I have finally ordered the Badaxx and that's on its way, I'm not saying I'm retiring, but I may not be expanding on new Sabers going forward. I think I'm going to slow down, take a step back, and focus on. I still have some Sabers to install and some products that I have over here. There won't be a shortage of content. I still have plenty of content ideas to throw out there, but you may not be seeing too many new Sabers coming out of Grey Paladin's channel for a while. The live hits, and honestly, my interest has not been quite as charged lately. So, but I know this guy over here is going to continue to search the World Wide Web and get lots of intricate hilts and reveal those for you and whatnot. But
I'm kind of getting into the mindset right now where I'm sort of like, there's a few things that I've been wanting to get into my collection. My very first Saber that I ever bought way back in 2004 was a master replicas Anakin Force Effect Saber, which I still have, and it still works in a pristine condition. I even have the box. That's just me. But I just bought an Anakin with a Golden Harvest Neopixel off of someone in the Facebook Marketplace, and I'm thinking of that as kind of my the Omega to my Alpha. And I've been thinking that, like, just from a standpoint of my age and how much these things cost, and just how much I've spent over the years, that I'm thinking I'm going to be trimming down my collection. I'm probably going to be buying a lot less Sabers.
Oh, wow.
I just haven't really been able to find the things that I want, and I do have. I've got a couple Vaders. I'm thinking I'm going to reinstall one of my Vaders, and I might have some Sabers installed. But as far as acquiring new hilts, I'm kind of at that point where, like, I just window shop now, and this was kind of impulsive, but I thought it would be kind of neat to just be able to take these Sabers into my collection, and I still have a Terra Malicos hilt that Revan Sabers is working on. We're getting into Vader's Vault territory. They've been working on that thing for so long for me, so hopefully I'll be getting that soon. And then, of course, my Badaxx is also kind of my unicorn. I mean, it's the ultimate curved hilt saber, short of the Bane, but I'll never be able to afford a Bane from Genesis Custom Sabers, which is expensive. The only other saber that I know I'm definitely going to get from Genesis Custom Sabers is the Speeder. And beyond that, I think I'm at the point where I gotta start thinking about the future, and just I'm gonna have to parse down my collection to, like, just the Sabers I really love. But the problem is I've got so many Sabers that I really love and I will never part with, because each one was an acquisition. It was a hunt, and I love them all.
I know I was at well over 30 Sabers, and I said, okay, this is too much. And here's the thing. I thought I wanted to collect a lot, but it got to a point where I get a Saber, I unbox it, I review it, I play with it for maybe a little bit, and then I move on to the next one, and I don't pick it up or touch that one that much ever again. I thought, why do I have all these Sabers and I'm only kind of picking up the same 4 or 5 every time? And that's when I said, okay, maybe it's time to, and it's a lot of money, over time for all of this. But kind of like you've been saying, and we've been talking about before, is there's not a whole lot out there that really excites me that says, I really want this, or I want to have this. And the few that really catch my eye are just not what I want, the money that I want to spend. Like, I would love to have a Vader's Vault Sovereign. When that first released, I loved that saber, but I cannot drop $800-900 for a saber. I mean, I could, I just don't want to. There's just more important things that I should be taking care of than buying a saber that's just going to sit on a shelf for a little while. And a lot of the LGT stuff, kind of getting back to that, some of the new designs that are coming out are really, really nice. I'm looking at it like, man, that's a nice saber. I'd like to have that. And then I go to price it out, and I'm like, man, LGT started kind of being in the budget, and now they're kind of getting to the upper end. And there's nothing wrong with that, but when I first kind of got into this, $200 or less, and you get something, and now you've got these LGT sabers going in the $400 or $500 range, and that's just too rich for my blood. I just don't want to spend that for that type of stuff, which is unfortunate. But there's some nice designs out there, and Dark Wolf has just been kicking out some really cool designs that you and I have been sharing with each other, and nice stuff. When they're starting at $300-400 before you add your core, I just I don't want to do that.
Well, not only that, but every time you see a cool design that you think, oh man, I want that, I want that, I want that. If you let yourself go nuts and you just buy every hilt that you think is gorgeous, I mean, and then before you know it, you've bought 10 in like the period of a month, and it's just like that's kind of out of control. That's bordering on hoarding. You know, it's good to find one that you really like. And I've been a hoarder for too long, and I've got too many of them. And fortunately for me, like I started when I started in this hobby. A lot of the rage at the time was still Ultra Sabers, and I have quite a collection of Ultra Sabers, and you can't really get much money for them, but there's certain ones I just want to part with. Some of them I actually still enjoy, like the Spectre, and because I'll never turn down a Kanan Jarrus cell, but yeah, I'm not getting any younger, and eventually, the money's got to be more important for retirement than Sabers. So if I could get myself down,
and something else too, at least when I first got started, there was a lot of variations in quality and options for Sabers, and now it feels like the standard has raised, and most people are kind of offering the same thing. You're getting your smooth swing, you get the Xenopixel, all this stuff. The soundboards are all improving, all kind of virtually almost doing the same thing, unless you're really into programming and really tweaking and blade profiles and things like that. But so there's nothing really innovative that's coming out now that says, oh, that's cool, that's new, I want to try that. Now it's just like, this releases, but I already have plenty of stuff that does the same thing. And so I know for you, the electronics aren't really as big of a deal. You look more at these one-off, intricate special designs and hilts. But even then, how many people out there are really doing something truly unique and artful? I think Starfall is one of the ones that does that, but again, to get one of his hilts, it costs a lot of money, and to get that work of art would be nice, but can I justify the price for that art?
See, I think you touched upon something there, like the things that we would be interested in. I see Nerf Herder come out with like a Scrapflex, and I look at that Scrapflex and I think, damn, I'd love to have something like that in my collection. But it's just too much money to even really take myself seriously when I say that. I just look at it, I just window shop. But like you said, yeah, Starfall. I mean, I'd love to get a ROM Coda by Starfall installed, but I don't have that kind of money.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I just have to live with my Saber Forge Dissident and my and my Mira. I mean, there's my ROM Coda for me. And occasionally, I might be inclined to pick up a Stunt Saber or something like that, but because I still will have a soft spot for Revan Sabers, and if he comes out with like a ROM Coda, if it doesn't get snatched up immediately, I'd probably grab another one of those. But I still think that you need a Revan Saber in your collection at some point. I might even just like send you one of mine if I'm so inclined.
And to be honest,
careful.
I will be, because it's nothing negative. This is just a personal thing, and that is, I almost would like to consider myself a saber flipper. I get a saber to enjoy it and see what it's like, hold it, feel it, and swing it, do the review, and then I don't really need it anymore. I don't want it to sit on my shelf. I don't need it to just take up space or collect dust. I just want to enjoy it for a week or two and then send it away and then try something else out. So yes, I would like to experience and hold, a Revan Saber and all this, but I don't want to own one. which is why when I had that subscriber send me 3 Sabers, I was always interested in a Bendu Armory, but I knew I was never going to spend that money to order one. So to have that for that brief time of checking it out, doing a test drive, experiencing it, and then send it back, that I really enjoyed. I think that was really awesome for me. And so if I had more subscribers that says, hey, yeah, I'll send you a Saber. And then for him, as a thank you, I installed one of his empty Sabers. So that's something that I enjoy doing. And I'm willing to do that where, they help me out. I get to try out new stuff. I get more content. I reward them with an install or something like that, and send it back and move on to the next thing. So I don't want to collect Sabers. I don't want my shelf in my room just full of these Sabers just laying around. And it's a lot of money laying around doing nothing. So for me, I'm close to done, to be honest with you. I still love and enjoy Sabers, but I'm not going to be acquiring them and holding on to them anymore. And I still very much like when I have a quiet morning where I don't have to rush off to work, I do like to take some time with a Saber and just spin it and just have fun with it. And then I put that down and get ready for work, and then I go off and hate my day. No, just kidding. But yeah, Gray Paladin, the Netflix of the Saber world. That's funny. And I really I know you're really into fonts, and that's something that I want to start getting more into as well. There's so many makers out there that I still don't even, that I'm not in touch with or don't know completely what's out there. But again, with fonts, I like listening to them, but I don't need 40 fonts on a Saber because I'm probably just going to play with the same 2 or 3. So like when I got my Xenopixel and this Golden Harvest, I think the Golden Harvest has 47 sound fonts on it, which is awesome. There's something for everyone. But I have my favorites, and I only play with those, and the ones that I don't like, I just skip right by them. Especially if you have a particular taste. Like I have a specific. I don't like fonts that don't sound like a lightsaber and get too far outside of the universe. I'm not saying they're bad. I respect and appreciate everything these engineers do. And I do think, and you've pointed this out, that some of these font engineers are constructing their own piece of art just in doing a font. And I appreciate that. So I can listen to it and recognize that, yes, a lot of work went into that. It's quality, but it's just not my cup of tea. It's kind of like, I like Mercedes. It's a beautiful car. I just would never drive one.
Yeah, well, the thing with the sound fonts is that you and I both we like our sound fonts to be kind of applicable to the Star Wars universe convincingly. You want to think that like an actual Jedi or Sith Lord would be carrying a saber, and this is what it could potentially sound like. And a lot of people they try to get really adventurous with the sound fonts, and they create sound fonts that just have a lot of strange sounds that just don't sound like they would be natural coming from a weapon that uses light to create a blade, and it's just kind of cutting through the air. It's not like, it shouldn't sound like it's banging on a power cable or like the clanking of a machine on the back. It's just kind of like there's a few sound font producers that just elude me as to what people really see in them. But a lot of people, they just like something that's really kind of crazy and interesting, and that's not really what does it for me. I like a bit of a more practical sound font. My current favorite sound font is the Eternal Sister by K-Sith, and I just happen to have it.
Do you share my enthusiasm?
Really kind of aggressive ignition, relaxing, kind of a gratifying hum. Some decent, you know, accent swings. And I appreciate a normal sounding blaster deflection and a lockup. I don't really like the blaster deflects and the lockups when they sound like something out of a Tom and Jerry cartoon, you know. But I think Kaseth really, I mean, he kind of nailed it with that one. But then again, you know me, I think that there's so many sound font producers out there. A lot of people, they just limit themselves to the bigs, you know, the majors, Kaseth and Kyberphonic. But then, you know, there's so many other people making sound fonts, like, you know, BK Saber Sounds, and the guy that I can't remember what he was called, but the one I was telling you about, I found a video and he did a Qui-Gon, and I'm probably gonna pick up his Qui-Gon sound font because I've never quite been happy with the Qui-Gon sound fonts that I have, and they are Kaseth and Kyberphonic, but for some reason they've never really done it for me, you know.
I think you listen to a lot of sound fonts, and for those that don't know, I'm a musician. I went to college for music education. I'm a trombone player, and that's what I do for a living. Is I play music. So I have a trained ear, and when I listen to a lot of these sound fonts, after a while, some of them either kind of sound the same, or I can hear the elements of the source material of where they pulled it from. Or they say, oh, I'm constructing this new sound font, but I can tell, okay, they took blaster from this one, they took a lockup from this power on is from that, this is, you know, inspired by this. And some of them are more obvious than others. What I would really like to hear, and I'm thinking, like, I want to work with someone, because I would like to have a gray Paladin sound font. And not gray Paladin for me, but what a gray Paladin is, which is a force user that utilizes whatever weapon is at hand, which could include blasters and also sabers. And but also kind of more into that, what I like to hear in a lightsaber, you know, bass and harmony and a smooth hum. But I just wish there was, and maybe you can only stretch it so far. I mean, there's only so much uniqueness and difference. Like when Kylo Ren, when we heard his saber, that was something completely and totally different from what we've heard before. And now, after the release of those movies, now you kind of get all these crackly fonts that kind of mimic and imitate that. But anyway, I just there's a lot of sound fonts out there that I like, but after a while, some of them do kind of sound a bit the same or too far out there. Like, I think Jay DeLorean is talented, he's great. Same thing with Grayscale, but none of those fonts from like Grayscale interest me, because to me they all sound the same, which is like a dubstep rock concert or something, and it's just this non Star Wars universe sound to me that I just don't really get into. And some people drool over that and they love it, and that's fine. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I had a Saber loaded up with the Grayscale sound fonts that I had acquired from I don't know, I think someone had sent me like a folder that had a bunch of stuff in it, and there was a bunch of Grayscale sound fonts in there, and I had them on one Saber, and I kind of listened to them a couple times, and I was just kind of like, this really isn't me at all. You know. And like you said, a lot of people in the community really drool over those Sabers, and every time one comes out, they're like really excited and they're showing it off, and I just listen to it and I go, it hurts my, what is that? I don't get it. You know, it's like someone was hitting a tin can and then they like looped it and then like it's just like it's not me. I don't know. Like you said, no offense. I mean, like there's definitely a market for that. People do enjoy that. Power to them. Well,
Now, some of these fonts that you get, and I know we had this issue with BK in the beginning, and he's addressed that and fixed it, not a problem anymore. But I noticed this a bit with J. DeLorean too.
Misnaming.
Yes, when you pay for a sound font and you say it's in XYZ format, but sometimes the files are not in that format, or there are files missing. For instance, CFX. You have to have a font config text, and you have to have an LEDs text. If those files are not in there, the font will work, but you're going to get this error beep, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that, especially for a new user who's just getting into this stuff, you don't want to have to worry about those things. I feel like when I'm
not going to know how to troubleshoot that.
I shouldn't have to look at every time to make sure it's exactly right. I just want to click, copy, paste, put it in the Saber, and done. And sometimes that's frustrating too, because prime example, yesterday I opened up my Vanquish, which you have to take the cover tech off, take the side screw off, pull off this bottom, then you have to take off the screws on the sides and the bottom, take off the emitter, and then the body splits in half. All of that just to get to the SD card. I did this, put in some new sound fonts, and a lot of times I don't update the Saber or I don't do new fonts because it's a lot of work to get access to the SD card. Well, I put in two J. DeLorean fonts. I did the Grievous and something else, I can't remember, and then sealed it all up, went to turn it on, and the fonts didn't work. And they still don't work because I didn't feel like going through all the work of taking it apart all over again just to check that stuff. And so when you pay $11 or something or whatever for a font, you expect to have everything you need to just copy, paste, and be ready to go.
Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag based on, I think, certain, preferences that Sabersmiths have. But it's like I bought Ashes from Rob from Mad Cow, and he didn't have the font or the LED configuration file on that, so I had to cut and paste that. Which is kind of like it's just kind of weird. Like, everyone sort of provides those, but you don't provide them. For Brian at BK Saber Sounds, I found out when I was installing some of his sound fonts onto my Golden Harvest version 3 Sabers, they weren't working. The reason why they weren't working is because I think that the configuration file is set up for Xenopixel. Because if I use one of the sound font configuration files that I already have on the Saber, then the sound fonts work fine. So that's the only thing. It's something in the initial setup of the configuration that's kind of the issue. That's not compatible with my Sabers. But like I said, I don't have any Golden Harvest that have Xenopixel yet. Monday I will. At that point, I'm going to take one of your sound fonts. I'm going to install it onto that and see if there's an issue. It'll probably work fine, just to kind of suss out my theory on that. But I agree with you, Emery. It's like, you spend anywhere between $7 to $10 to $8, $12 for a sound font, and you put it on your your Saber, and it's not working. And I've actually had to go in there and figure out what's misnamed. And
Yeah.
I know that Brian and I, we worked out a few things, and these things happen. But with J. DeLorean, I've had different issues with different naming nomenclatures. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I think he's French, and I don't think I think there's a language barrier there that's sort of keeping the naming conventions. Plus, he's providing versions for every single format. literally from Verso to CFX to Profi to Asteria and Xenopixel. I mean, like, you know, if you're sitting there and you're taking every single one of your sound fonts and you're converting everything for like,
but look at this though. That's what he's basing his business on, and you're charging people for it. So that's like saying, I'm going to install a Saber, but I'm not going to check all these pads and make sure everything's working properly. You have to do those details if you're going to sell this for someone.
A lot of the Saber Smiths that are making the sound fonts, and they're doing all these versions, they don't own a Saber that has each version of the soundboard to test them on. I'm convinced, like, you know, they'll maybe have 2 or 3, and now they're just going by, like, you know, the manual, you know, to try to set them up right. Well, another thing,
but look at their websites and how many fonts they sell. I mean,
this isn't high crimes or anything like that either. This is just sort of like things that need to be worked on, but it's not to me like a, you know, I'm just saying it's not like an end game kind of scenario for me. I mean, these are things that I think people can work through. But I hear what you're saying. Like, you spend $12 and you put it on, and you're doing extra work to get it to work. That seems kind of like, that needs to be sorted out before you release it for the general public. Because how many people buy the sound font? Oh shit, it doesn't work, and then they don't know what to do, and they contact you, and they make your life a living hell, or they just.
And the font makers should have a better knowledge of that than the consumer. You know? Yeah.
Now,
let's face it, the largest base, and when I look at my channel and I look at the statistics, the largest viewing age is, I think, 18 to 24. And for a lot of them, and in most of my videos and things, the comments are coming from new people who say, this is my first time here, I don't understand this, I don't have the knowledge. And so when these folks these are also people that are getting these sound fonts. So if the font engineer doesn't know, you can probably guarantee that 60% of your purchasers or your consumers probably don't know either.
Yeah. Here's another. This is a minor grievance. I really like Juan Sith. I like his sound fonts. But when you pay $12 for a sound font, you only get the one version, CFX or Profi. And I'm actually kind of alright with it because I have no use for the Profi version unless I was going to be sending it to someone who's doing an install and I want to give them all the sound fonts that I need on that Saber. Yeah, I'll give them the Profi version if I'm getting a Profi installed. But for the most part, I just want to get my CFX. But when it doesn't include like the Golden Harvest 3 version or Verso version, where other sound font makers provide all these different functional versions, like. One thing you can say about K-Sith and Hyperphonic is every single one of those sound fonts is going to work. They all have functioning font configurations, and that's what, you know, that's probably where they get their reputation from, other than the fact that their sound fonts are super bassy and generally really accurate and amazing. All the credit that they deserve, but, you know, anyway.
Well, I mean, and like BK says here that the Saber fonts coming from makers usually have the included config files set to factory default settings. It's up to the end user to edit. Yes, I agree with that. If you want to tweak it, then you edit it the way you want to. But there are some cases where that config file is not there. And so you have to. So what I did was I would copy and paste it from another font and then put it into the new font that I got, and that's kind of more of what I'm saying is those things should be there. If you want to tweak it, make it different, that's on you. That's on the consumer. But the file should be there. So, and let's say for instance for CFX, I think the code is when it says -111111111. It's whatever you change it on the onboard menu, it saves it to that. Or you could change those numbers so that way every time you turn it on, it's set to that same color and style and whatever you want. But that's up to the user. it shouldn't be a case where you put it in there and the file's not there. And there's no instructions on that. I remember when I first started putting in files for my CFX stuff, I didn't know about the LEDs or the config or the font config file needing to be there. And I was sitting there thinking, like, why does this Saber keep doing this horrible beep sound when I try to turn it on? And I realized
I didn't know what that was about either.
Yeah, so you just kind of through trial and error, you figure it out, and they go, "Oh, it's missing this," and then boom, you fix it. Now, I think KSIF, he started including those, or he would even say, "You may have to add these files to this font," but at least he gave us that transparency. Not everyone was doing that in the past.
I just had a thought, and I'm thinking that we should do some split.
Oh,
now. I have 2 Sabers. Oh, what's up?
It's just that sometimes when we talk at the same time, it's just we don't really always hear what's going on with the delay and the microphone and the volumes are always so different. We could try, but you and I aren't going to hear the result. Probably only those that are watching will.
That's all that matters. I never now. I think I'm pretty certain which of my Sabers has the right side and which has the left side. I think my Sovereign has the left side on it. So I'm gonna go grab my Sovereign.
So what Darth Paradigm is talking about, Force Effects had released a sound font called Split, and it's a left-handed saber and a right-handed saber. It's meant for a dual wielder or possibly a staff, but mainly a dual wielder. And it's each saber is supposed to be in harmony with the other. Now, me as a musician, when I heard the demo, I immediately knew that it was a perfect fourth as far as the interval goes between the left saber and the right saber. So it does provide a nice harmony. So alone, the fonts are perfectly fine. But when you turn them on together, they kind of have, they sound in harmony with each other, which is a really cool effect. So Scott and I talked about, I wanted to do a video and edit it and kind of do something cool with it, which I think we'll still do. But Scott would like to do it during the live stream so you can kind of hear that if you missed Force Effects video and demo on it. But it's called Split. And you can, and actually, I did a my sound font review on Force Effects Traders General. It's already edited and uploaded. I will release that next week, so you can catch that. But you can go to forzeffects.com. That's FOURZZEFX.com, and you can find Split. I believe it's $11.
Now, this is the one that I currently have on my Sovereign. I think it's the
This is for BK.
Already assassin. Split.
I believe I have the left saber. Oh, wrong button. So this is where it's difficult. I can't even hear yours with mine on right now. So. I have the lower pitch, if that helps.
Here, do the lockup. I think we're playing the same one. That's okay. Let me go get my.
Hold on, I have the other one too.
Ray Skywalker.
I love that kind of low on that one anyway. I think.
Exit system SD.
It's hard to tell. It really is.
Okay, you have the right hand now. All right, here we go.
Well, anyway, that was interesting.
Yeah. So that's split by Force Effects. Great guy, great font. And in the future, Scott and I are going to come up with a joint video where we kind of edit the two together, where I have one hand, he has the other hand, and
let me just do this. This is kind of this might be more revelatory.
Split.
They kind of complement each other. Anyway, find space, and I've managed to destroy the wall, I think. Nah, the wall's fine. That does a total klutz. Ugh.
So
It's an interesting
now let's discuss Kenobi. So who's excited for Kenobi?
No one? Not the one? Oh, there.
So I think we got what 2 trailers?
2 at least. I thought maybe, yeah, 2 at least.
Okay. I had to change out one of my Sabers. Battery died. So, what do you? How do you think it's going to turn out? Do you think they're going to nail it, or do you think this is an opportunity for them to kind of mess up again?
Well, you're asking me. The one thing I've learned from our friendship is that I feel like I tend to be a little bit more forgiving some of the times with some of the material that we're seeing come out in the Disney Star Wars universe. I believe that they're probably going to bend canon a little bit. And they're going to do some things to, establish an interesting story that may or may not kind of jive with everyone's preconceived notions about Kenobi's time on Tatooine watching over Luke. But I think they're probably gonna hit on all the they're gonna tick all the boxes, I think, of what most people want. There are gonna be those. I mean, even if you criticize something, your criticisms are usually valid, as are mine. Some people are just haters, and they're ready. I've already seen the videos. People are ready to take a dump on this show. All I know is that I get to see Ian McGregor playing Obi-Wan again, and I'm cool with that. I think they're going to do a good job. That's really weird music. I'm not digging it. I find it very distracting.
There, let's turn it down. I like it. So, my thoughts. I was not a huge. I enjoyed. I was always curious and wanting to know what was going to happen next with Book of Boba Fett, but that's just not a character that I'm really thrilled about. And to be honest, Obi-Wan was never my favorite Jedi. I never thought he was that special, even in the original trilogy. I respect his character and the role that he played. So I look at these shows mainly not because of the characters, but because of what I'm going to see expanded around the character. I like knowing what's happening with other characters and keeping us in this, just in the universe. What I liked most about Book of Boba Fett was just hearing and learning more about these other characters, seeing Cad Bane and whatnot. So I think they don't have room to mess this up. And I think with the actors that they're pulling in, I think that they're going to do the absolute best they can to make this a great product. And I don't think there's going to be too many misses. There may not be home runs, but I don't think they're going to miss. I think it's going to be an enjoyable show. And it's really touching an area that we haven't really gotten much of, which is seeing him oversee and train Luke. There's that void, that gap from Clone Wars to A New Hope that we just don't really see the Jedi side of it. Now we got Rogue One and Clone Wars series and things like that, but I'm looking forward to this. I know I have a friend, he says, I think they're going to mess it up. I think they're not going to really focus enough on Obi-Wan, and this is going to be, a lot of distracting, bull crap. And I don't necessarily see that. I like the idea of us expanding on live action Inquisitors. Who knows what we're going to get with Darth Vader? I think there's probably going to be some flashbacks, with Hayden Christensen being in there. I think it's going to be pretty good. And I like the fact that we're getting 2 episodes in the first week. So I have high hopes. I really do.
As long as the Mandalorian doesn't show up, I'm sure it's going to be fine.
Well, one thing I think that we can almost count on is Star Wars doing a better job of connecting the dots. With Kevin Feige on board and stuff, because Marvel did that extremely well, where even movies that were done years apart, they found a way to connect the dots. And I think Star Wars is going to try to start doing that. And I hope they do, because I like the idea of seeing these things you think they're separate, but they're really tied together, and they don't spoon feed it to you, but you're figuring out, oh, while this is happening, this was also happening over there at the same time. You may not see it, but now we know it's kind of all happening around the same time.
What I would hope for is the little things like what they did with Bad Batch when they had Kanan show up in that first episode as a kid, and then later on they had Hera show up. And she was kind of like, in several episodes, and they kind of took that opportunity to flesh out her story with her family and how she became a pilot, and and they used like one property to kind of set the framework for another one pre-existing property, and I think they see the value in taking shows and sort of using them to prop up other shows. I think you may see some connections in Kenobi that we didn't expect to see to other shows, and they might take the opportunity to use this as an opportunity to launch something else that we never even thought of that we wanted, and these are the things that I kind of look forward to, is just the little surprises, the Easter eggs that they throw in there, because those guys, they understand the world of Star Wars. I mean, and they're also fans, so they know what we want. So far, they've been giving it to us. Like you said, there's with Book of Boba Fett, there were some misses. With each show, there's been a few things where it's like, that didn't quite work. But then there's been other things that worked out quite well. Yeah. Those are the things you have to look out for. What those will be, I don't know. But it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with Hayden Christensen, because everyone loves him, which I think is great considering how much grief he got, from myself included. I didn't think he was a very good actor, but he's our Anakin, more so than even like the animated Anakin.
I don't know. I think people love and like the animated Anakin, and I do too. I like how Anakin was portrayed
when you've seen it,
used in the Clone Wars, but I didn't particularly care for him in the prequel trilogy.
Well, that's because you got to see Anakin over like how many episodes was that, and he, I don't know. I mean, he was definitely
true, but the voice acting was much better too. Yeah. I mean, I just feel like Anakin was portrayed much better in the Clone Wars series than he was in the movies.
It's the same dichotomy between like live action and animated, that you're always like, people think Ashley Eckstein is like you're the ultimate Ahsoka, but then like Rosario Dawson comes along, does the live action version. There's a dichotomy there. You always kind of see people that prefer one or the other. They can't just enjoy both. It's like people that love, like I love the Lord of the Rings movies, but I also love the books. I realize that they're two completely different things, but I enjoy them for different qualities. Boom.
The big challenge is when you have a certain idea of what you want the character to be, and then you see someone's portrayal of it, and if it doesn't fit what was in your head, then you automatically decide, I don't like it, or I love it.
Yeah, and that happens a lot.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have a big connection to Anakin Skywalker and Hayden Christensen because he played Anakin Skywalker. Same thing with Obi-Wan Kenobi. I never really got that connection there, but I can tell you, I read the books, Heir to the Empire, which kind of was, in my eyes, episode 7, 8, 9. Not the sequel stuff. And I fell in love with Grand Admiral Thrawn. I think he's a great character. And then I watched Rebels and I thought, okay, based off of what I read and what I kind of had in my head, Rebels didn't quite nail it, but it still wasn't bad. But then when they kind of hinted toward in Mandalorian, they hinted towards Thrawn kind of being the boss. I'm thinking like, oh man, are we getting a live action Thrawn? They better not mess this up. They better not mess up my my favorite Star Wars character. And so knowing that, now I kind of understand how some of the Anakin lovers may feel.
Yeah. Some people just don't have the mechanism in their head to really like accept animated anything. Like it's a cultural thing. A lot of people have they just they can't watch animated stuff and enjoy it like live action. They have to see real people and blah 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 blah. I'm that way with stop go animation, the claymation. I was never able to get into the Wallace and Gromit style.
I like that stuff. I think
I can't do that. For me, it's cell drawn animation or bust.
Gromit cheese.
What?
I said Gromit cheese.
I remember one of my roommates. He had one of the Wallace and Gromit movies, and we were drinking. I was drinking and watching Wallace and Gromit. And I could not get it. It was like the most tedious experience of my life. I just could not get into it. That's which is funny because I grew up watching shows like Land of the Lost, and they'd have the dinosaurs running around, and that was all stop go animation. And I'm weird.
But the luxury of having a series in animation is you can really expand and take that character where you want it, whereas live action, you kind of limited to some degree. Now, what's tough, we look at the Inquisitors or even Cad Bane, you see the animated versions, and then we get to these live action, and you're like, oh, that doesn't look right at all. And as soon as we saw the Kenobi trailer, everyone immediately started putting out the memes and the videos and things, saying how this is how the Grand Inquisitor should look, or this is how Cad Bane should look.
Why isn't his head squished?
Yeah, and it's funny because I remember when I first saw Cad Bane, he's walking like I saw the hat. I thought, oh, is that Cad Bane? And they showed him. I'm like, yeah, his skin isn't quite right, and his head isn't. It should have been more bulbous. And yeah. But when we paint these images in our head from what we know from the animated series, when you go live action, how much can you do with the makeup?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm only affected if it's like really, really, really done wrong.
Mm-hmm. But if the acting is superior, then you forget all that. You ignore all that, and you just take it for what it is. And
yeah,
like Cad Bane, he didn't look right to me, but the actor played that part so well, I didn't care.
But Cad Bane looked like a Smurf. It's like Emmy-winning performance. You look like a Smurf. It's like.
Well, did you see that
Robert
video where they said it's Cad Bane, but he's
Bane.
smiling for everything? So instead of looking like vicious, he was like smiling for everything, and it was almost more creepy seeing him deliver his lines smiling than looking serious.
Like Cad Bane walking up to you saying, "I'm gonna Smurf you in the Smurf, and you're gonna be Smurf to Smurf," and then you're like, I don't speak Smurf. It's like no one does.
Jeez.
What? I want some. You can't just say that. You can't just say something like that without there being some repercussions.
Well, yeah, I have high hopes for Kenobi. I'm not sure how many episodes are going to be in the season. Like, I don't even know if we're going to get a season 2 for Boba Fett or season 3 for Mandalorian. But it's 6, and were they about 48 minutes each episode? Maybe
I don't know.
45 minutes an episode. But I mean, what we do know is, based off of one of the Disney Plus footage that was released, is Hayden and Ewan were training with the Sabers and stuff again. So we can expect some type of either flashback duel or an actual duel. But I'm really thrilled to see because in episode 4, A New Hope, we kind of always heard, I wonder if he's talking about old Ben. And he says, oh, well, that hermit, he's just a crazy old wizard. What did he do, or what got him to the point where he kind of got this whole old crazy, vibe going,
It's gonna be cool to see some Owen Lars action. Get to see the Lars family homestead. See
Right.
guys run around.
And he's a good actor too.
Not being all crispy.
Yeah, he was in Red Sparrow. I mean, he's a good actor too.
So okay. This is the way my brain works. I watched Strange New Worlds, and this, Captain, Christopher Pike from the episode The Cage, and how he's basically all burnt to a crisp in his thing. Well, one of the things, and this isn't really a spoiler because it's kind of a major plot point in the show, is that at some point in Discovery, I guess Christopher Pike saw his future, and he knows he's going to end up like that. So he's living with the knowledge that he knows exactly when that's going to happen to him. So he's going to be like a crispy. He's going to end up as a crispy. Wouldn't it be interesting if the Lars family knew? If like Kenobi says, you're gonna end up crispy sometime. You both gonna die. You're both gonna end up crispy, and it's just gonna be like a random scene where the camera looks, and then Luke's just like, "Oh, that sucks. Those guys raised me. There's nothing for me here. Let's get off this world. Let's go. They're just gonna go. And I don't even think he buried you. Oh, wait a minute, they did.
No, he just took off.
Yeah, he just took off. They're still there. They're still there. It would have been funny if like Rey in the sequels, if Rey went there and she saw like a couple like desiccated skeletons and just like was like, oh, this isn't right.
Well, here's the real question. We already saw footage of child Luke, doing his little pilot thing.
Cool.
Are we going to see more child Luke, and who's that actor, and how good is he going to be? Because let's face it, we all know that Jake Lloyd was not favored in the Star Wars community for his portrayal of Anakin Skywalker. So
yeah, but at least the kid was okay, right?
I'm hoping that little Luke doesn't suffer the same fate as Jake Lloyd.
Well, if he can avoid having a pod racing scene, I guess. I don't know. I'd actually like to see Luke do pod racing. Wouldn't that be interesting?
And also with that, will we also get little Leia? Will we see some Bail Organa in there? Or is it just Kenobi on the run the entire time? At some point he's going to have to settle in on Tatooine and do his thing. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be good because they can't afford to mess it up, and I think they're going to connect some more dots, which is what I like seeing. I like seeing how everything connects together, and I hope that they work on that.
Well, they have a week,
right? Well, technically it's already done at this point. They're probably in post editing or whatever, but
no, like that we get to see it.
For us to see it, yeah. In 2 episodes, that's great. When they said we're postponing, I'm like, that's fine. If you're giving me 2 episodes, that's fine. It's going to be like watching a movie, And the production value is great. Like Mandalorian, Boba Fett, the production value and that stuff was really, really good. You felt like you're watching short films or mini movies. Yeah. This is their opportunity to really help patch up where they've kind of lost us in the sequel trilogy, and then hopefully get us to a point where they can do another string of movies. And honestly, it doesn't have to be trilogies. Like, get past the episodes and just give us a quality movie, like Rogue One. Rogue One was a quality movie. I only needed 2 hours. You don't have to do a trilogy that does this long story over time. Just give me something good. Solo, I thought that was good as well, and just give us a single movie, and just focus on making that product great.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was gonna say, but
Give me a moment to run to break the seal, and then you can think about what you were going to say.
what I was gonna say is I'm really tired. I think at some point during Obi-Wan or during Kenobi, mind you, he's probably going to fall and hit his head and suffer from amnesia because he can't seem to recall owning a droid. So that would be a good closure to that loophole, I would think. Luke's hair is the wrong color. I don't know. Maybe it was the lighting. He was in shadows, kind of. Ryan has a YouTube channel. I never saw Star Wars Resistance. Visions is great. Sorry, guys, I just don't have a whole lot to say right now. It was a very long day.
Yeah, so I did hear you say that you're tired, and we're approaching the 2-hour mark. So honestly, I think 2 hours is probably a healthy time frame for a live stream. 3-4 hours is, you know.
Well, you had 3 topics at hand, and you addressed all 3 of them.
Yeah, we covered all of them. Plus, we got your unboxing in there too, which was nice.
Yeah, I have to throw a blade in this thing, and the cover tech wheel is a little bit on the loose side, but it's also strange. It's like the where the pommel screws on, it kind of hits the this O-ring is sort of a buffer between where the pommel ends, and then it kind of it's sort of weird, like, because I have this hilt and it doesn't need this O-ring here. I'm thinking it's just there to create a buffer for the speaker. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into this thing. I'm sure it's an easy enough adjustment, but I've had enough JQ Sabers to know that that's generally not how his installs roll. You know, it's a very, very kind of unique sort of style. His he tends to put the speakers in a holder. Not that it's coming out, but this is actually like a holder, and it slides right in, and it's probably only goes to about there, and then the wires kind of curl up and attach to the soundboard. That's generally how he does all of his installs, but this thing's not really moving.
I'm sorry, I forgot. What soundboard is in that?
This is here it goes. It's a Pico Crumble.
Light or dark?
Should be dark, I think.
Okay.
But so this is nice because you can just kind of like pop out the speaker and replace it if need be.
So, question: what's the difference between Pico Crumble and Nano Biscotti? Do they? It sounds like they both do the same thing, right?
Well, Nano Biscotti, the Nano Biscotti version 3 has 2 sound fonts that you can access through an SD card and change. And
but the Pico Crumble is just a single.
Yeah, the Nano Biscotti V4 has 3 sound fonts, but the Pico Crumble is the sound font's hardwired into the board, so you can't change it. So you have to pick.
There's no blaster for Pico Crumble, or is there?
No, there's no blaster. It's just blade in, blade out, and swings and clash.
Oh, so Nano Biscotti is a step above Pico Crumble. That's interesting.
Yeah, Pico Crumble is just meant to be. I just think of it as a nifty little sound font for someone that wants a dueling saber that's no fuss, no muss.
I was gonna say that's surprising that the FX Sabers is not like a Nano Biscotti, but I think in the past their actual higher tier from the FX was the Nano Biscotti, and then they switched to the Crystal Focus, right?
Yeah, that's what they used to use the Nano Biscotti V4. When I bought my Aaron, that's what I had for the NeoPixel.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sent it in and I had it switched over. One of the things that I do like about this is that you turn it on, you have sound,
Oh, it's definitely
you
dark
hold the
side.
button, you get
Mute.
mute, and then you hold it for 2 series of chimes, and that puts it in a deep sleep. Or if it's kitted out with a kill key, you can put the kill key in. While it's in deep sleep, you hold it. And that puts you into your preset
Oh,
color.
color change. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's RGB.
Yeah, and then once you find the color you want, you lock it in. And it's in deep sleep. You wake up. This one just happens to have an illuminated switch. I don't usually with JQ Sabers, like for instance, if I select blue, let me just do this. This will be annoying, but it'll take a minute. Let's get to blue. All right, I'll lock that in. Yeah, and it kind of changes the color of the ring to something.
So you have an RGB activation switch. Those are hard to come by, it seems like.
Yeah, but JQ Sabers, that's kind of a thing that he always does to his Sabers, which is why I kind of like his setups. I really like this thing. I'm not dealing with the fact, I don't really like the fact that I can't just have the pommel cap on and have it go flush. I have to have this stupid O-ring in there, and I don't like O-rings on Sabers.
Yeah, I know you don't.
I always feel like they're a cheap, like a chintzy solution. I actually, it's part of the reason why Revan Sabers doesn't use them that much anymore, if at all, is because I kind of gave them my opinion on them, and I think that they're just dumb. They're just a cheap way to gussy up a saber. You know, we all have our hangups. That's mine. I would never destroy the Earth because of that, though. I've got plenty of other reasons, though. All the humans on it scurrying around. Anyhow. Yeah.
Well, I sincerely hope that you get a notification soon for your Badaxx, but I would very much love to receive mine before you get yours. but who knows? I think once that all happens, you'll probably get yours in 2 or 3 days after yours is shipped, and I'll be waiting another week before mine.
No, because Raymond, what's your last name, Raymond? I can't remember right now, but he said his shipped like a week ago. Yeah. That's sitting in. He told me on my YouTube channel, that his is sitting in customs. So no, chances are this time. I think based on what I'm seeing here, you'll get yours first, and then we'll have to figure out what we're gonna do. I would not expect you to wait to open it, though.
Oh, of course not. Nor would I expect you. But yeah, we'll. So, folks, our next live stream will be after we have both released our videos on our Badaxxes, and then we will have a Badaxx live stream where we will talk about how glorious it is and go from there.
And hopefully, all your lingering doubts about the quality of Genesis custom Sabers hilts, which
I've never had doubts. I mean,
that's not what you said. The wine night.
What do you mean? Oh, I think I pretty much just said, it's everyone says so much about it. I just hope it's true and worth it, and I'm sure it is.
mean,
But I will say this though, as for as much of the quality that everyone talks about, I feel like he's reasonably priced. I mean, I didn't pay.
It's extremely reasonably
I
priced.
paid more for probably less, than I did for the Badaxx. So
His sabers, they really start getting expensive once he starts acid etching and weathering and really customizing his hilts, and then you can pay upwards to like $2,000 for like probably one of the bougiest sabers that you've ever seen. But if you go to the Genesis Custom Sabers website and you look at the Dark Side Weathered Speeder, that's the next hilt that I'm gonna get from him, and it's absolutely beautiful. I think it's one of the prettiest corn horns that isn't sort of like a saber produced from like a company like Starfall or Nerfhard or someone that does corn horns. But then again, like I said, I can't afford one of those, and I think that's probably going to cost me a little bit less than the Badaxx, but it's still kind of an expensive hilt because there's a lot going on with that one, and I'm getting the weathering because it needs it looks good with it. So, but I'm probably not going to do that for a few months because this planet is so expensive.
Yeah,
I paid $5 a gallon for gas today.
What?
It's almost not worth it. It's almost not worth driving to work anymore. It's crazy.
$5 a gallon, man.
It's over $6 in California.
That's worse than when Bush was in office, man.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that like everyone's like not releasing reserves or like cutting back on production to just sort of like prove some kind of weird point. And when the government can only cajole people to like release reserves so much to like ease off on people. But like like the state of California, I was listening, they're talking about what they can do to get the gas prices down, and the last thing they want to do is like suspend the gas tax. I mean, they were talking about passing a temporary piece of legislation to suspend the gas tax, but they've got like too many people in the government that's just, no, you can't do that. And it's just sort of like, but people can't afford to like eat and pay rent, whatever. It's the freaking world we live in. It's a nightmare. But
real quick, I want to address Daewon Gray's comment here, and that's the Kaizen saber. Those sabers look so amazing, and I so wish I could get my hands on one, but those suck. Every time I see one, those suckers are expensive. I just oh man,
wasn't there a period when the fella that makes the Kaizen sabers kind of disappeared?
Yeah,
he kind of disappeared for a while, and and everyone was kind of like,
which really increased the value of those sabers. Well, those are hard to come by.
And it's kind of funny. It's sort of like, people do take breaks. Like I was like, this shirt is from Gin and Tonic, and I was just about ready to buy another shirt, and I had gone onto their website and I was looking around, but I didn't have time to make the purchase. I was going to do that today. Is that from Gin and Tonic?
No, it's from me.
I don't know where my gray Paladin shirt is.
I actually thought about getting you one, and I was gonna put it in one of the Sinister Prophecy, but I didn't have it in time. So I'll eventually get you one. Just for you. I only did these I just did 2 for the channel. I wasn't gonna do the whole merch thing, but I thought about getting you one just because because I knew you would rock one, because usually in your videos you do a different shirt for each people you know.
I don't know. I do certain shirts. Like I have kind of this hang up about buying merch from a channel that I don't know, just doesn't Like there's certain channels that it's I don't want to offend, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but it's just like if you've got like 300 subs or 400 subscribers, you shouldn't have merch yet. I'm sorry. You shouldn't even be talking about it. Merch comes with like, okay, I've got like 10,000 subscribers, merch. When you're like, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, Stony Magnum, he has enough subscribers. He can do merch. Me? To do merch? What a joke. Like, I would never even... I'm never going to have as many subscribers as him because I'm just not that cool,
Yeah, because you don't have a pair of knockers and a big butt and long hair and pouty lips and...
Well, not that any of you guys see in any of my videos, but I mean, on an average day, you never know. It could be more than you can handle, mister. I'm not nearly drunk enough to be doing humor like this, but
okay. All right, well, that's probably a good
that bombshell.
Yeah, exactly, on that bombshell. So, hey everybody, thanks for joining us. We definitely had consistently around, but I think we got upward to 15 people watching at once, which is the most I usually see.
I swear I saw 1,000 at one point. It was really, really nerve-wracking.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we got more than 15, but it was cool. I always enjoy when people join us for these things, and we had 3 interesting discussions plus an unboxing, so pretty cool. Our next live stream, like I said, we'll be going over our Badaxxes and whatever else seems to float in the breeze at the time. So thank you very much for watching, and may the force be with you.
Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.